We're now joined by State Representative James Talarico. And Representative Talarico, we've talked to you in the past about the school voucher program. In the past, you have said that there is no room for compromise when it comes to school vouchers. Do you still feel this way? And if so, why is there no room for compromise?
Well, private school voucher scams are bad public policy. Before I was a legislator, I was a public school teacher on the west side of San Antonio. And I saw firsthand how our state government systematically underfunds public education. Texas ranks 43rd in the nation in per student education funding. Texas teachers are making less than they did 10 years ago when you adjust for inflation. And local property taxes are through the roof because local property taxpayers are trying to stop the bleeding as our state government fails to do its fair share of school funding. So we have a school funding emergency in this state, and we simply can't afford a private school voucher scam.
Now, Governor Abbott was very adamant about getting this done, and he has said that he has the numbers now to get school vouchers done in this upcoming session. I'm curious, does that change your technique here? Is it change your ways of thinking maybe we can get a compromise if they do have the numbers? How does that change your approach to this?
Well, Greg Abbott has a habit of declaring victory prematurely. The week before we defeated his voucher scam on the floor of the House last year, he said he was on the 1 yard line. And I was counting votes, and I knew he didn't have the votes that he needed. And so I wondered, whose 1 yard line is he on? So, I try not to listen to the manufactured momentum that Greg Abbott puts in his press releases. What I focus on is where the members of the House are on this issue. And right now, the members are all over the place. You've got a sizable bipartisan coalition that are opposed to private school voucher scams. That's the same coalition that stood together, Republicans and Democrats, to protect funding for our neighborhood public schools across the state. And then you've got some newer members who may be open to some kind of voucher, but they can't agree on what that voucher looks like. And so I really don't see the governor having the votes for a universal, large-scale voucher scam that would defund public schools across the state of Texas.
When you're in your district and you're speaking with your constituents, I'm curious, do you at all hear, do you ever hear someone say they are for school vouchers, or are you mostly hearing people who are against the school voucher program?
Texans want us to fully fund our public schools and lower property taxes. Those are the two things I hear the most. And the fact is that a private school voucher scam would decrease funding for our local schools and increase property taxes. So it'll make the school finance emergency even worse. And that's why I and my bipartisan coalition in the Texas House are standing strong against voucher scams in the state of Texas. I also want to focus on something you just said, which is that there were Republicans who stood up to Greg Abbott and said that voucher scams are bad public policy and they will hurt neighborhood schools across the state, particularly in our small towns and rural communities. And instead of listening to those rural Republicans, Greg Abbott took a $6 million check from an out-of-state billionaire to primary those Republicans. They were conservative Republicans on every measure. All they believed is that we got to fully fund our neighborhood schools. And for that, Greg Abbott spent millions of out-of-state money to defeat them in the Republican primary. I think we need a governor who will stand by the students of Texas and will listen to members of his own party when they are saying the state government needs to step up and do its fair share of school funding.
We know school vouchers will, of course, be important in this upcoming session, but in your eyes, what priorities do you have for the coming up here in January?
Well, it is just unaffordable to live in the state of Texas. I'm going to be focused on lowering property taxes by fully funding our schools. I'm going to continue my work decreasing the cost of prescription drugs like insulin. I'm also going to work across the aisle with my Republican colleagues to try to lower the cost of housing in this state, to make it possible for more Texans to achieve their version of the American dream. I think that's what Texans, whether they're Democrats or Republicans or independents, want us to focus on, not culture war issues, not voucher scams because some billionaire from Pennsylvania is asking us to pass it. They want Republicans and Democrats to come together and figure out how to lower costs and make it affordable to live in this state once again.
Okay, Representative James Talarico, that's all the questions I had for you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.